Hey guys, it's RivaThames and it's the weekend, so another episode of Testing the Battlefront. Today we're looking at updates to the game, counterattacks and making the most out of your hero. Before we start, if you have any ideas for next week, leave it in the comments and I'll be reading through all of them to hopefully feature one of you guys in next week's episode. But let's get started with Yado. I said in the previous episode that you can jump and strike with the lightsaber to make it easier to get eliminations on the go. Unfortunately, this was heavily nerfed with the new stamina patch update, and you can only do about 4 of these before you overheat, meaning you can't block as often if you do this strike. But another way to balance out the negative side of this is that you can activate your health ability while doing this. Really simple, being able to jump and strike while getting your additional health. So if this is your go-to tactic, you may not be able to block as often anymore, but you can have some confidence with some extra health using presence. Another way to activate Yoda's presence is when you're using Unleash. The animations basically overlap and you can push and activate it. Not as useful as the other one, but it's still a nice thing to know, I reckon. And of course, I'm sure you all know that Yoda's dash and presence can be overlapped as well. In my opinion, this is probably the best option you can use for activating presence without passing through the animation. After I learned this, I've been doing it ever since. Being able to deal damage accurately and have health is a great tactic to have. Next, we got a correction from last week. And I always aim to provide the truth in these videos, but unfortunately I got it wrong this time. Rogue pointed out that Phasma's droid will not stop stunning Lando if the smoke is down. You will get stunned. What the smoke does is stop the droid from firing its blasters at you. As you can see in this clip, this is where I slipped up, as the droid has the same mechanics as a blaster turret on the officer. Therefore it will lose its lock-on, but not the stun. So if I was to run into the droid, I would still get stunned, but I wouldn't get hit with any of the blaster fire that the droid has. Just a correction to make sure you guys don't run into a droid when you have your smoke down, because you will get stunned. In last week's episode, I showed how Han Solo and Chewie can use their abilities twice. And a comment suggested it was possible with the Jet Trooper, and guess what? It just is true. If you jump and use the forward dash with the Jet Trooper, the ability won't always register, and you kinda do a little boost forwards without much fuel. It's like the Trooper begun the ability, but gave up halfway through. But yeah, it's possible. This one isn't the same logic, but you can jump and use the forward dash to do a little half dash. Pretty cool. Sometimes it works, more often than not thankfully, so if you have the jump trooper, be sure to try it out, because you could kinda take some advantage of using an ability with nothing actually activating. Next we got one for Rey, and this is technically a way to get unlimited insight. Now sometimes when you strike the lightsaber as Rey and press insight afterwards, the ability will kind of reset. So you can strike, press insight, strike and press insight, and you can ultimately have unlimited insight. Now when I first tried this out, I was like, you know, it's true, it does work, but it's something that I think isn't going to be of much use, because, you know, insight will last long enough to kind of do what you need to do. To be able to strike and impress insight is very temperamental. You're not always going to want to focus on that. Just pressing insight once is going to be fine. But this is a way to get unlimited insight. Not so much a tip, but it's just something to let you guys know that you can do this if you want to. Maybe keep it in mind if your ability's right there. And you know, you run out of stamina, just go ahead and press it again. You know, it's one of those things, so try it out if you haven't already, but I don't think it's something you should keep in mind. Taking a break from the stuns for a while, I've realised that Lando can throw his stun in the air, and he can actually detonate it while it's in the air. So, you know, there's a little delay before you can actually detonate it. You need to like press some things on your arm, but it is possible to detonate it mid-air. So I've been trying all week to try and stun a Boba Fett out of the air. Now, this is part of the thing that I want to you put an end to my jumping out of stuns thing. And I think that was a cool way to do it, but unfortunately I couldn't get a clip. So this is what I want you guys to try to do. I want you guys to try and stun a Boba Fett or some kind of player out the air like this. I think this would be an amazing clip to be able to stun someone as they're jumping. It's really going to test like the perfect time to detonate that stun. I don't know, when I get this clip I'll definitely show it off, but I think it would be great if you guys could try it out as well. But as for the jumping out of stuns, if you saw my Kylo Ren video about the different strategies with freeze, you would see that there was a clip with Chewbacca, and I was stunned, but I was in the air while I was stunned. But when I hit the floor, I continued being stunned. This comment has pretty much answered and gives a great insight to why this might happen. So let's take Chewie's stun for example. Say the ability lasts for 5 seconds. If I get stunned but I'm in the air for 2 of those seconds, as soon as I hit the floor, I will be stunned for the remaining 3 seconds. So it's kind of like the ability is still going on even though you're kind of not in the position of the stun. It's kind of like how the shock grenade on the specialist, it kind of makes an area of I don't know, like electric on the floor, and as soon as you go into it you'll slow down, but as soon as you walk out then it'll be fine. And I think the stuns kind of like outline an area for a particular amount of seconds. So if you jump out of it initially but then land in the area that the stun originally hit, then you will get stunned. So I think this could be the answer to if there is stuns in the game, just depending if you jump and then land back in while the active stun is still going on. So thanks for that comment. I think that hopefully puts an end to it. Maybe if you guys have any suggestions on jumping out of stuns, then be sure to let me know and I'll keep digging. But I think this was a great clip to outline what this comment was saying and ultimately say that it is a thing in the game. Next we got Chewie's charge up. Now if you guys didn't know, if you may be new to Battlefront 2, you can hold down the attack ability on Chewie and you can be given 2 extra bolts. This will essentially, give more bolts, so you'll be able to do more damage. But what I want to show you guys is that the primary bolt of Chewbacca, the middle one, is the one that does the most damage. So this is what you always want to focus on hitting your enemies with. You can see in these clips, I fully charged up and I went all the way to the final bolts being able to be charged. And I hit a headshot with it and it's not that strong. This is because the additional bolts you're getting are kind of like splash damage. It's not always, because imagine if you get 4 primary bolts, you would be able to take down a hero in 1 second. I mean, not like Chewie can do that already, but it would be a lot more overpowered. So just keep in mind that the middle bolt of Chewie is the one that will do the most damage. The ones that you charge outside of that are going to do less damage, but ultimately be able to take down enemies faster if you kind of hit them dead on. If you aim down your sights, it will become kind of diamond shape. This will be able to hit enemies a lot easier. But when you're not aiming down sights, it will be a linear line. So this line will be very hard to hit with, as you'll want to focus more on getting all of those bolts on your enemy. So just keep in mind that Chewie's bolts have got some kind of damage values between them. Next we got one for Kylo Ren, and this is going to be a star card of his called Harsh Pull. And basically what this star card does is damage enemies when using pull. Normally Kylo Ren will use his pull and he'll just simply pull them towards him, but they won't do any damage. Having this card equipped will do a little bit of damage when pulling them towards you. Now this is a brilliant card for heroes versus villains, because if a hero is blocking, I made a video a while ago that you can block pretty much every force power if you're deflecting with a lightsaber. However, this star card will kind of make that irrelevant. Sure, you can block the pull, but the damage inflicted from the pull will still hit your target. So they can be blocking and not get pulled towards you, but they will still take damage because you have this star card equipped. And this is really good for heroes versus villains. Even when you feel your ability's been wasted, it hasn't really, because you've still been able to deal some damage. So try this card if you haven't already. It's definitely a great counter for those lightsaber heroes if they continue blocking. However, with the new stamina update, I don't think they're going to be blocking for too long. Now it's time to test the laser trip mine. Now this is a card for the specialist, and the best way to use this is probably if someone's chasing you. A lot of Battlefront 2's gameplay can be mindless sometimes. So, you know, if someone sees you, they're not gonna like wait for you or something, they're gonna chase right after you. So just place this in doorways, place this if they're running after you, and it's guaranteed a kill. Just throw them all over the place. You can place 2 mines at a time. If you place a third, then the old one will disappear. You can have 2 of these on at a time, but just literally keep them in the closest space you possibly can, so you know you can guarantee a trigger. Or you can try something else. You can place a mine on the floor, and if you know there's a group of enemies coming through somewhere, you can actually physically shoot the mine itself, which I think is pretty cool. I saw it in Battlefront Update's top 5 plays, so credit to whoever actually did this clip first, but I think it was brilliant. You know, this idea is great if you want to make the most of the trip mine and hopefully get a good clip out of it. So the laser trip mine should, you know, always be placed in a close confined space so you can pretty much guarantee a kill. And if you want to be fancy, try shoot it while someone is coming through. On the topic of Lando's smoke grenade, like we talked about earlier, apparently you can throw the smoke grenade down and it will kind of make every target lock irrelevant. And this means lightsabers and Kylo Ren's frenzy, for example. Now I said in my lightsaber video a while ago that the lightsaber stamina will allow you to kind of lock on to a hero. When you strike, you'll kind of lunge towards a hero, the one closest to you, so you can attack them. If Lando was to throw down his smoke, this would completely take away all of the lunges, because it's taking away that target lock, pretty much making Lando irrelevant to these locks. So if you're up against Kylo, or if you see him in the distance, just throw down your smoke and he won't be able to target you. Now next we got one for Finn. Now I've been using Finn a lot recently, and this is because his middle ability Big Deal has been absolutely brilliant for Galactic Assault. You can simply activate this, everyone around you is given extra health, no overheat, faster cooldown and damage reduction. That is a brilliant ability to have as a team play hero. You know, you can just stand in the most, compact places. You know, it's places like Starkiller Base where everyone is like confined in one space. Just use that ability and your team is ready to go. But I want to look into Big Deal. Now, Rogue asked about the damage reduction of Finn. Now, I have no idea how to test this, man. I'm sorry, but I'll just give a quick overview of what their health and, how it actually works. Like just to show you guys why to actually use Finn. Now, his Big Deal ability will initially give Finn 120 health. This is his additional health on top of damage reduction and faster cooldown and, unlimited blast of fire. But this ability will only last for 10 seconds for everyone around you and for Finn himself. After that, you will maintain your 720 health, your additional health, but it will decrease by 5 every second. So you'll be able to kind of buff up your team and yourself for only 10 seconds. But after that, your health will stay consistent. I'm not sure if the damage reduction will stay after this 10 seconds. I doubt it, because I think the health is just the one that deteriorates slowly. But for 10 seconds, you will be able to do damage reduction, no overheat, and extra health to all of your team in this circle radius. Definitely a hero you want to be trying out, because I thought he was one of the weakest in the game, but after using this in Galactic Assault, he's one of the best for team play strategies. Next, you know how Emperor Palpatine, a moment of silence for Emperor Palpatine, but Emperor Palpatine and Darth Vader kind of glide towards the floor. And a comment pointed out that if you strike your lightsaber as Vader, you will be able to fall to the floor a lot quicker. And this is because when you strike your lightsaber, you're kind of given a little momentum pushing forwards. There's kind of a force that moves you forward, so you'll be able to fall quicker. And this is another great tactic if you want to get on top of a ledge or something. If you just jump and then strike, you'll kind of move forwards and, you know, get onto the ledge a lot easier. You can see some examples here. Just, you know, striking will just kind of move you forward a little bit. It's kind of like how the stamina works with a lunge on an enemy, but you'll just generally move forward if you're striking anyway. As for this week's tip of the week, it's going to be an unfortunate one. And my Kylo Ren video, if you saw that, I basically showed you guys to freeze an opponent and then have a blaster hero, you know, take them down. Because as soon as you attack with your freeze, the freeze will actually break when it hit with a lightsaber. But unfortunately there's been another bug introduced with this patch to say that heroes that are frozen can still shoot their blasters while frozen, which is a really big issue in Heroes vs Villains, which kind of makes Kylo Ren he makes him a lot more weak for his freeze ability basically not even working. So just keep in mind that if you freeze a hero, if you do any physics based move, you can expect to be shot while doing it, which is really frustrating, I know, but it's just something I think you guys should keep in mind, as it is a glitch right now, and let's just hope it gets fixed fast because it's getting a bit ridiculous now. But that's basically it for the video. I hope you enjoyed this one. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Leave all your ideas for next week in the comments. It's been Riva, and I'll see you in the next video.